Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. This is the weekly report for November 23rd. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope all of you guys have a great Thanksgiving and you get ready for the holidays so you can get out there and go fishing. What do we got to talk about today? Well, let's talk about the Black Friday sale over at the Bass Hole on Bethel Island. Big sale, Black Friday sale, all baits 15% off, all rods and reels are 20% off. All Bass Hole merchandise is 25% off, and if you talk to Rob about going out and buying a bundle or bulk, he may be able to make get a better price for you. So go out there and see Rob at the Bass Hole this Black Friday. And I also want to just remind everybody that this is the time of year to go out and support your local tackle shops. I'm a big supporter of Outdoor Sportsman here in Stockton. They're friends of the channel. Hook, line, and sinker, we talk about them quite a bit. I get reports from out there from time to time. That's out in Oakley. Central Valley Bait and Tackle out in Modesto, good friends of the channel. Make sure you're dropping in and paying those guys a visit and support your local tackle shops, especially this Christmas season. Go out and if you're going to buy something for your husband or your fishing friend, go out and check out a local shop. You know, I'm going to do river conditions, but I'd like to say one thing about some of the local fishing. I've gotten quite a few reports from the mother lode. And for you guys that have been sticking it out on the Delta and maybe just kind of grinding it out, don't feel too bad because there's nothing else that's going on that's really super great. I've been talking about Clear Lake. That was good up until last week's storm. Since then, it's been kind of on and off. So, you know, that big bite at Clear Lake isn't what it was, you know, a week or two ago. I talked to Eli from the NorCal Angler. He was up there Tuesday. He had a really tough day for largemouth, and Eli knows the lake. He's a good fisherman. He had gotten some good reports, and I think he said he only pulled 3 largemouth in a day's fishing. What Eli did do was just load up on beautiful crappie up to about 3 pounds. They were all over, and he caught a ton of them, had a great time with the crappie. And the catfish are really going crazy up there. So if you guys are looking for crappie and catfish, Clear Lake's a place to go. Just be aware that it's not as steady as it was a couple weeks ago. Maloney has been tough. New Maloney's has been tough. I haven't gotten really any good reports from New Maloney's. Talked to Freak Spool and Keith. He was up at the Yakka Bass tournament Saturday and Sunday on Comanche. And that was, you know, it was a disastrous day for weather, or weekend for weather, 20, 30 miles an hour wind and very cold. The fishing was extremely tough. I've also been talking to Bob Messer. He's a local guy up there from Ram Rat Baits. And he's a local guy, lives up there, talks to a lot of people, and it's been a tough fall on Comanche. So if you're sticking it out on the Delta, it's probably the place to be right now, and I wouldn't worry about, you know, driving too far and thinking you're missing out on some of the good mother lode fishing. Now, I don't know what's going on down at Don Pedro. I've been seeing Ryan Cook, the famous guide from down that way. He's been doing a lot of crappie fishing, getting a lot of crappie. I'm sure he's still catching bass, but that's Ryan, but just not a lot of reports from down south. All right, let's get into river conditions. Very light angling pressure, 50-50 striper bass guys. More striper guys are starting to come out, fewer bass guys. The hyacinth that was choking up the river and floating down is pretty much cleared up, so real good news for the striper guys that are trolling. You're able to troll now without getting, you know, your lines hooked up in a bunch of floating debris. I've been seeing a lot of guys trolling down around the central delta. Good tides last week. Fishing was good for both largemouth and stripers. Water temperature, when I've been getting out about 8 in the morning, is about 52 degrees. By about noontime, it comes up to about 58. I think what you're going to see is that water temperature start to decline little by little, maybe fairly quickly in the next couple weeks, because we're getting nights that are, you know, low 40s, high 30s. So that water temperature is going to drop below 50 pretty soon, and it's going to get tough for the largemouth bass. Visibility is still what it's been all year. Down south, it's about 2 feet. Out around the central delta, it's about 5 feet. So everything's a go. Next week, we've got some really good tides. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's talk about the storm that came in last weekend. It's recent history, but it is ancient history now as far as the fishing conditions that it created. If you got out when the low pressure front came in just before the storm or right as the storm was coming through, you probably did real well, especially if you were out there after stripers. The informative fisherman was out. You guys know who I'm talking about. He's got a video out. And I believe he was out just before the storm. Him and his partner caught about 30 keeper stripers from keeper size to about 8 pounds. Just had a great day. Topwater, swim baits, anything they threw, it looked like they were picking up stripers. And that's what a low pressure front will do this time of year. So if you get a chance, check out the informative fisherman, his striper video that he uploaded. I think it was last week. I also talked to a couple guys that were out there largemouth bass fishing during the storm, and they did very well. I went out to Paradise Point, and I saw a couple of guys at the ramp that I talked to. I didn't go out. I wish I had once I talked to the guys that were at the ramp, because they did really well. Now, after that storm came through, the fish got a little more tight-lipped, and at least for the largemouth bass, it's still good, but it's not as consistent as it was a week or two ago. All right, so what's been going on with the stripers since then? Well, they're chugging right along. There's a ton of fish in the system. I talked to Jeff Suhu. Jeff last week was heading all the way down to where he was Sassoon Bay. That's where the fish were. That's where the bigger fish were, and he was making the long run. This week he didn't have to do that. With that rain and everything, the fish have come in closer. So I think if you're fishing anywhere between Rio Vista, the mouth of 3 Mile Slough, out around Sherman, all the way up into the Delta, you're going to find fish. The size of fish is better it seems like the farther out you go, the size of the fish gets better and better, the quality. But there's good fishing throughout the Central Delta. I've been seeing a lot of guys trolling. I know the local guys are all fishing live bait, and they're picking up limits or near limits of fish. They're not big fish, from keeper size to about, maybe 22, 24 inches. If you're out there bass fishing and you're throwing a jerk bait, you're probably going to get a lot of fish between about 12 and 16 inches. Every now and then you'll pick up a keeper on either a jerk bait or an LV 500 or an underspin, something of that nature. Now, I talked to Rob Cloutier. Rob reported that he was out during close to the storm conditions, and he just had an unbelievable day on largemouth bass. He had lots of 3 and 4 pound fish, punching, and spinner baits. Then he went out for striper. A couple of people that he knew wanted to go out and wanted Rob to take him out and show him some striper fishing, and fished for 2 days and really couldn't find the striper. So that was kind of Rob's report. And he's fishing pretty much around the track into Sherman Lake up that way. So you'd think that Rob would have found some stripers, but every day is different. Along with that, we'll get into the largemouth bass, and we had a tournament last week, the ABA, Saturday, or no, it was Sunday. I believe there's about 30 boats, somewhere 30 to 40 boats. It took 23 pounds to win. I think the top 5 guys have had 17 pounds or over. The bottom line is, middle of the pack, they all had about 10 pounds of fish. And believe me, the middle of the pack for that ABA tournament wasn't the middle of the pack. It was very good fishermen. So I think, that Lorenzo gets a 23-pound bag. Don't think you're going to go out there and get a 23-pound bag. You're probably going to get more of a 10, 12-pound bag. I believe the guys that were catching those middle-of-the-road sacks probably went through a lot of fish. So for the average angler going out there and catching 15, 20, 30 fish in that 1.5 to 2.5 pound class is going to be a lot of fun. The fish are active. I think if you go out there and you throw a jerk bait, you're going to do really well with the jerk bait. You'll get a lot of small fish. You'll get fish consistently in that 12 to 15 inch class, and over the course of a day you'll probably pick up a couple fish in that 2.5 to 3 pound class. I had one of the biggest stripers that I've seen in the last 15 years come up and touch my jerk bait, and I believe that fish was probably right around 20 pounds. Didn't take it, but it was very exciting. So go out with the jerk bait. You can expect to catch both largemouth and stripers. If you want those bigger fish and you want to put in some work and drop the numbers but get better quality, just start punching out there, and the punch bite is still going pretty strong. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you guys for hanging in there, and I will next week or next Tuesday, I'm expecting to load up a jerkbait video. Make sure you check that out. It's got a lot of really great information, especially if you fish here on the Delta, especially if you're just getting started using jerkbaits. I think there's a lot of information in that video that you'll appreciate, and it'll help you catch a few more fish. So thanks again for watching. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. If you get a chance to get out next week, it's going to be the tides, the weather, everything is lining up. We should have some pretty darn good fishing, so let me know how you do. We'll see you guys on the river. Good luck.